Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Soy Palo Escobar. That's all I know in Spanish. So yeah, that's it for this podcast of me trying to speak Spanish. See you next week. Now, welcome to episode. I'm getting have quarantine brain. Episode 6 in the Shy Talk podcast, and I put a poly bowly up. I'm never gonna call it that again. Put it up on Instagram, asking if the lads wanted to hear me talk about one of two topics. One being, as you can tell by the title, it's obviously this one that got chosen: consciousness and AI. We're just going to touch on the AI thing, just one or two little points and experiments that's been done, but mainly consciousness and what it is and where it fucking comes from, because it's a fascinating thing and it makes us, you know. So yeah, but I mean, I'll start off by talking about last week as well. I hope that I did help a couple of people out last week. I got some nice feedback on it, and it was really nice to hear. You know, it was like being able to help people through a time that I went through and I'm still currently going through. I actually had a panic attack last night, which wasn't too fun, but to be able to help people through a time like that is it's a great feeling, you know. And yeah, so hopefully I was able to lend a helping hand to a few people. But I'm recording this podcast on a different software this week, so hopefully it sounds a little bit better, because I'm not sure if anyone's noticed, but there's been a hum in the background of my podcast because my computer likes to complain and groan for some reason to let me know that it's on, even though it's fucking no reason for it to do that. But yeah, so yeah, consciousness. It's a weird one, because and I think I've touched on this in past podcasts as well, that they've located the part of the brain for emotion, they've located the part of the brain for sense of humor, for memories, all of that. And through all of this and all this technological advances, there's been no found location for where the consciousness actually is. And I think that just blows my mind. And because it can, like, scientifically it's really interesting, because like it's there but it doesn't exist, right? It doesn't exist in a scale point of view, or in a graph. If you look at, or a picture of a brain, an MRI scan, if you look at something and say where's the consciousness, it doesn't exist there. But we all know it's real. You can be unconscious, you can be conscious. We all have consciousness inside us. It's what makes us. It's to put it simply, I call it the you, like, you know what I mean, which sounds like I've got some sort of condition, but no, like the like there's you, and then there's the you, if you know what I mean. And only a handful of people have probably experienced what I'm talking about. It's like when you realize, like, there's you, and then there's an inner kind of real you. Some people call it their higher self. And what I find interesting about it is it's completely scientific, right? When you look at studies and when you look at things, it's like the consciousness is completely kind of scientific, but then it's kind of the one grey area that breaches science and spirituality, sort of, which I find interesting, because like usually it's like for example, God made all humans. Okay, right, that's an opinion by anyone who's religious, right? I wouldn't really class myself as religious, but I'm definitely not atheist, because I think atheists are sort of, there's a stigma that comes with being an atheist, and it's sort of oh, you believe in God? Pff, what a fucking retard, like, you know what I mean? And it's not that at all. I mean, I don't necessarily believe there is one God who's a man sitting up there with a white beard watching down on us all, saying, oh no, you never went to confession, you're going to burn in hell for eternity, or oh no, you're gay, you're going to burn in hell for eternity. I think that's just an extension of the law that was brought in, like, and different laws that were brought in hundreds, thousands of years ago, and it's kind of like conveyed wrong and stuff. Like, I mean, the Catholic Church, a member from the Catholic Church said in an interview that the church virtually made up hell, the concept of hell. It was kind of an extreme prison back in thousands of years ago, because it was like people like getting locked up in a cell wasn't really a thing for a lot of people. It was kind of like, well, now you'll go to hell when you die, like, you know, and you won't get to see all those loved ones again. And it was sort of a leverage that the kind of the authorities of the town, different towns and different cities, well, not cities, it wouldn't have been cities at the time, but had over the townsfolk. And it's like, it's sort of, and when you look back, like the Catholic Church has run Ireland since the beginning of fucking time, like, you know what I mean? And their influence on Ireland was huge, you know. It was like the fact that gay marriage has just gotten passed, well, not too recently, but recently enough in terms of when we're talking and speaking thousands of years. It's only happened 5 minutes ago, but since gay marriage got legalized, and since abortion, the referendum on abortion had been passed and stuff, it's starting, kind of, countries are starting to lose that religion dependency, I find, which is good, you know, because we're people, you know, we're not like just here to serve some mighty being, you know. And like, I think religion has a lot of I'm not going to blabber on about religion too much. I'm saying that while I'm fucking blabbering on about it, but religion has, like, the aspects of it are great, like the moral aspects, the 10 Commandments, you know. Like, I don't know them, but I think Biggie knows them, Biggie Smalls. Oh no, they were something else, but no, yeah, like, treat thy neighbour the way you want to be treated and all that stuff, you know, like morals and stuff like that. I think it's fantastic that religion has created. I mean, because if everyone was just being their animalistic selves, then it'd be a completely different world we live in. But I think that goes back as well to the consciousness thing. I mean, without consciousness, without that feeling of I'm a human, I'm not necessarily above anything, but I'm the highest form of evolution on this planet at the moment. It's kind of interesting in the way of, like, without that consciousness there, who's to say we wouldn't be these crazed animals, like, running around killing each other, eating each other, riding each other, just because it was in our DNA and it was because we were programmed to do it. Which is it's interesting to think of, like, what is consciousness, what makes consciousness. And I was having a discussion with my friend the other day, and, like, you can't see consciousness really, like, do you know what I mean? You can't see it, but it's there, it exists. And an interesting thing, like, I was talking to him about was, like, existing versus being real, in a sense. And, like, for example, we used Wi-Fi as an example, and the example was, right, Wi-Fi exists, right? We all know that. I use Wi-Fi to upload this video. Wi-Fi exists, but supposing the whole world was eradicated, the whole, like, world was absolutely destroyed, right? But, like, it was still there. Like, it's just every living thing was destroyed in the world, right? And every fucking iPhone, laptop, tablet, everything that could connect to the internet is destroyed, right? Would the internet still exist? Because it would, but where? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, and I know you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Consciousness and the internet have nothing to do with each other. I know they don't, but they do. They have similarities. Would it still exist? And the answer we gave, like, was, yeah, it would still exist. It definitely would. Like, even though if you could create something to connect to it, you would be able to connect to it, but it would exist somewhere. But where? You know what I mean? What is we're creating these kind of false planes of existence, but yet they're real. They're brought into existence by us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that, like, I don't want to ramble because I've loads to talk about on this topic, like, but I just don't want to go too off track. One sec. I don't want to go too off track in the beginning, because then I won't be able to go back to it. But yeah, so it's like, it's kind of, it interests me that, like, the idea of, like, an afterlife, and the idea of, like the theory I have, right, is people say, oh, I do think there's an afterlife, and I think there is it's purely out of comfort more than anything. It's more so. It's a little cut out there. I don't know what the fuck happened, but just stopped recording. But yeah, what I was talking about was, like, the kind of idea of, like, afterlife and stuff like that. The way it ties in with consciousness is, like, right. So how do we explain this the way I'm thinking it? So like, right, they have, do you know the way people say, oh well, there's obviously no afterlife because you can't remember before you were born. It was just nothingness, you just didn't exist. So surely then it makes sense that you won't be able to remember after you die, or not remember after you die. There won't be anything after you die. It'll be just nothingness again. You'll just not exist. Which of course is everyone's biggest fear, I think. And if it's not your biggest fear, it's like, I'm like, why is that not a fear, like, to some people? But like, I just can't understand why someone wouldn't be terrified of not existing. Like, but then when you look at it in a different way, it's like they can't figure out where consciousness comes from in the brain, right? They don't really know. They know a generalized kind of, they think it's in the frontal cortex, but they don't have like a generalized, like a precise location for it. So it kind of would make sense to say that if you had lived a life before this one, right? Not like you're going to be reincarnated into an eagle or some shit like that. If you had lived a life, whether it be in this universe or some sort of alternate reality, alternate universe, you would have been part of a brain that had different memories, if you know what I mean. And then when you're put into the brain you're currently in, you have new memories. So when people say you can't remember before you were born, well, yeah, because you could have been part of another brain. You could have been part of another living organism. Which is, now that's not backed up by any studies. That's not anything I've looked up. That's just my personal kind of... Yeah, I vape on the podcast now, I don't care. But that's my kind of personal view on it. It's like, you've been... If you're... People say like, well, you'd remember whatever. But if there's nowhere... If you're not actually part of your brain necessarily, then there's no reason to say you weren't another person before, if you know what I mean. But still remaining you. Which is it's kind of hard to put into words, but I think it's interesting. And I mean, another thing that interests me as well is the fact that time kind of doesn't exist when supposing you black out. If you've ever blacked out before, if you've ever passed out, a lot of people describe it as like time traveling. It's like you're standing here 1 minute and then the next minute it's boom, 15 minutes later and you're lying on the ground, but you didn't experience those 15 minutes because you were unconscious. There was no consciousness there. That nothingness in between, from when you were awake to when, after you passed out, you never experienced that time. You literally time travel. So like, if your consciousness can leave reality and it's as if you time travel and you do not exist then it just puts so much questions and perspective into it. It's like it's just crazy. It just boggles my mind. Like, and it's sort of like, it's weird the fact that like dreaming for example, they say dreaming activates your what's the word? Pineal gland. Now they think the pineal gland has something to do with consciousness as well, because it's, look, there's been a couple of studies done to say that it may reduce DMT, dimethyltryptamine. If you've ever heard of Joe Rogan talk about that, and every fucking second word that comes out of his bald mouth, but it may release DMT. It definitely releases DMT in some animals. I'm not going to say what animals they are because I don't know. I just know that they definitely do release DMT, the pineal glands. And a lot of people say that like DMT, they call it the God molecule. They call it there's plenty of names for it, and people who've taken it have said that they've actually experienced dying or ego death. They felt their consciousness being ripped from existence, being ripped out of their body, and then it's just them without their body. And they've talked to higher beings and they've talked to God. Some people have said they talked to the Creator. And it's kind of interesting the fact that, now yeah, it could be just a hallucination, which, like, if you want to look at it from a realistic point of view, it probably is just a hallucination. But I kind of find it interesting the fact that a lot of people have had a similar experience on DMT. And DMT is a completely natural occurring thing. It's crazy. I think it's mental, the fact that like a lot of people have had a very similar yet different experience of basically dying, losing themselves, and then talking to these beings. And it's like, it just makes you think, it's like, what else is there? Do you know what I mean? A lot of people are so fucking sure that there's no afterlife, and they're so sure that, like, we're just here for a short amount of time, and it's just a conveyor belt of personalities and people, and then we just die, and then it's just new people and new personalities. And I don't think it's that simple. I think there's a lot more to it. I think, like, there's only, like, one you, you know, and, like, I'm not saying that as in, like, you be you, like, you know what I mean, fuck all that for now, all that positivity stuff. I'm being, like, realistic. There's only one you, and I think people say there's an unlimited amount of alternate universes, right? I think there's, I suppose, and I know there's more than 7 billion people on the planet at the moment, but let's say 7 billion for the sake of this example. I think there's 7 billion different alternate universes on the planet, you know? Like, I think there's genuinely 7 billion different, like, everyone else's perspective on the universe is an alternate universe. Goes back to the one I used to talk about when I was a kid to a lot of people. Do I see red the way you see red? There's no way to tell if I see red the way you see red. Like, as in, and there's no way to figure it out. I could see red the way you see blue, the way the next fella sees green. And in a way it's like, well, that doesn't make sense, because then the grass would be all red. No, it's not that. It's like, you may see blood the way that colour, the red, everything that is red to you, I may see as a different colour. I may, do you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain without giving yourself a brain fart here, but there's no way of telling if someone else sees something different to you, because you can't get inside someone else's head, like. And it's just, I'm gonna just quote one of the Blind Boy podcasts I was listening to, where he was talking to a professor of quantum physics or quantum mechanics. I can't really remember. I always fuck that one up. Can't remember if it was quantum physics or quantum mechanics, but they're quite similar anyway. They have aspects of similarities in each one. But he was talking to him, and he was saying that, like, there's a guy, I think it was in Sweden, who made these robots, and the robots react to pain. If you poke one of the robots, they say, like, "Ow, you're hurting me, stop." Like, they react to pain. But who's to say that they're not conscious? Who's to say that there isn't a consciousness there, and it's just been made in a laboratory, or it's been made in a factory? Like, the only person you know who is fully conscious and fully real is you. I could be completely fake. I could be a robot. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no way of knowing. That's why consciousness is so fascinating, because it's real and it's not. Do you know what I mean? But it's definitely real. Like, it's definitely real, but I'm saying it's not real in the sense that it doesn't come up anywhere in charts or anything. It's just there. You know, it's like, it's what makes you you, and the fact that your brain, if you just not even close your eyes, just while you're staring at the screen, think of a shoe, right? Think of a kind of battered leather shoe, and you can see the shoe, you can see it in your head. Where's that image? Do you know what I mean? You can see it somewhere, but you can't physically view it with your eyes. You can't reach out and touch it. It's somewhere in your head. There's an image there. You can definitely see it somewhere. You can see it inside your head, which fucking fucks me up. The fact that you can see memories as well. If you can think of a day, think of a sunny day, you can almost feel what the sun felt like on your face that day. You can see trees. If you think of trees, you can see them. But where can you see them? I think you can, when you think of something up, like think of that shoe thing, and when you think of the memories, the image comes from the same part of your brain. And I don't know if it does. I'm just saying it seems like it does. But I think, like, when you look at that, and when you look at the fact that we dream, when you look at the fact that we get the hiccups, even, for example, our bodies and brains and minds are very robot-like. Now, I'm not trying to fucking sound like a tinfoil hat wearing 5G head here. I'm just saying that there is a lot of mechanicalness, that's the wrong word, I don't care though, to our beings, to our bodies, to ourselves. There's a lot of fucking, like, the fact that we just process food into shit, the fact that we can reproduce, the fact that we breathe, we need oxygen to breathe. We are very machine like. Do you know what I mean? And like, who's to say that everyone you know isn't a robot? No, I'm not saying that. Imagine that, fucking hell. Imagine I said everyone fucking skits from this podcast. Getting DMs and all. I think my man might be a robot. It's fucking the robot Mr. Krabs music comes on and all. She's boop, 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 walking around the gap. That was the worst example of the robot Mr. Krabs music I've ever done in my life. But you know, you get where I'm coming from. But that probably sounds nice in the camera, in the mic. But yeah, consciousness. It's fucked. It's mad. Dreams are mad. Dreams. Have I even touched on them? Dreams. In fact, you can just close your eyes and then you're in another world, and it's real. It's real because you're experiencing it. But you're experiencing this right now. Who's to say it's real? Who's to say it's not real? No one is. You can't even say if it's real or not. You're just here. Why are you here? Why do you exist? Why are you? Why is the world here? What? This isn't a film. You know, this isn't like a movie, like, where there's like, this is it. This is the thing. Do you know? I'm trying to put it into the best way I can, but this is the thing. This is it. Do you know what I mean? Existence is fucking mad, is what I'm trying to say. And it's like, you've probably had, if you've ever smoked weed, you've probably had a lot of these thoughts. But like, people just talk about, oh yeah, look up at the stars. Like the stars, like big massive big massive balls of burning gas in the air. Do you know what I mean? Clouds even. Just big loads of smoke floating in front. Like the world is fucking mad. Like, do you know what I mean? Everyone's so focused on these small things. Like, well, yeah, right, fair. Coronavirus is necessarily small because it's killing a lot of people. But like phones and like fucking lamps. I'm looking at a lamp now. Like fucking lamps. Like you turn it on and it emits light everywhere. And that's what I want to touch on as well. Light. I think I talked about this in a previous podcast, but I've said that if I had €1 for every time I've said I've touched on this in a previous podcast, I swear to God I'd be loaded. But like, right, how am I going to say this? Right, light can't really be measured, right? And this was touched on in the Blind Boy podcast. You thought I was going to say touched on in the previous podcast there. Light can't really be measured in a sense of, how do I describe it? Right, supposing you have water, right? I said that real weird. Water. Right, supposing you have water, right? There's water molecules, there's H2O molecules all bundled in together there, right? Now you can only fill up something. Say you have a cylinder, 3 litre cylinder. You can only fill up that cylinder with 3 litres of water, right? Say you have a room, right? You can't fill up that room with any limited amount of light. Light does not have any density or weight, but it's everywhere always, unless you have all the lights off. Everywhere always. It's very hard to be in complete darkness anywhere. Like, and the interesting thing is, like, we all need light to survive, right? There's that kind of saying, in the beginning there was light. Everything came from light. Everything started from light, right? Now bear with me. I know I sound like a psychopath, but I think consciousness is light. We are light, if you know what I mean. Now, you might be thinking, what the fuck is this fella on about? But I hope there's some people agreeing with me, right? Because listen, inside us, thoughts, right? Thoughts exist. We can harbour an unlimited amount of thoughts in our head, right? An unlimited amount. And thoughts exist. Light exists. Consciousness exists. None of them can be measured in terms of weight or density. You know, it's like, it's fucked up, but they're all energies in their own respect, which is kind of fucking mad. Like, light as well can also give off heat, and it's like, it's just, I don't know why I said that. I'm not. It sounded like I was leading on to something there with the heat thing, but I'm not. But like, it's just crazy that. But bear with that one. That whole light thing. You know, like there's, you cannot measure. You can measure light, but you can't as well. I'm not even going to go into how complicated it is with measuring light, because I was trying to listen to that fella who was on the Blind Boy podcast, and it's just bleeding berserk, to be honest. But yeah, It's a bit fucking mad anyways. All of it. Existing. Light. Brain. Dreams. Fucking consciousness. Time. Time's a big one that's fucking mad as well. Time, like, it's not man-made either. Like, time does pass, but what is it? It's just a reference for something. Was a reference for age, is it? And what is time? Like, time's just there as well. It just exists, sort of like Wi-Fi, sort of like a consciousness. But yeah, I'm gonna move on to the AI stuff before I make your fucking brains pop. Yeah, so the AI stuff, I'm actually just gonna pull up an article there that one of my mates sent me, and I'm gonna try my best to pronounce it. It's the Rocco Basilisk. I think I got that. The Rocco Basilisk experiment, right? And basically, what it is now, this is kind of like, it's sort of supernatural in a sense, right? I'm just gonna read off a little bit of this. So Rocco's Basilisk. I'm gonna get that down. I'm gonna sort that out proper. Right, so kind of cut out again there. Sorry about me, but so yeah, Rocco's whatever the fuck exists at the horizon where philosophical thought experiment blurs into urban legend. The Basilisk made its first appearance on the discussion board Less Wrong, a gathering point for highly analytic sorts interested in optimizing their thinking, their lives, and the world through mathematics and rationality, right? Less Wrong's founder, oh god, that's a complicated word, right? We'll just call him EY, right? Because he has a mad name. I'll link this in the description. Mad name. Eliezer Yuduskolowski. Mad fucking get to the chopper type of name. I don't know why I said that. Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't even fucking Russian. But anyway, is a significant feature in techno-futurism. Fucking hell, on the bombs. His research institute, the Machine Intelligent Research Institute, which funds and promotes the research around the advancement of artificial intelligence, AI, for all you fucking cunts out there who don't know, has been boosted and funded by high-profile techies like Peter Thiel and Ray Kurzweil. And that fella who I said, the founder, can't pronounce his name, is a prominent contributor to academic discussions of technological ethics and decision theory. What you're about to read may sound strange and even crazy, but some very influential and wealthy scientists and techs believe it. Right, so to simplify it, to put it, not just for you, to simplify it for me as well, because I read this earlier and it's a bit, what the fuck, in a sense, but to simplify it, right, is a thought experiment proposed in 2010 by the user Rocco on the Less Wrong community blog. Rocco used ideas in decision theory to argue that a sufficiently powerful AI agent would have the incentive to torture anyone who imagined the agent but didn't work to bring the agent into existence, right? So basically, what I'm saying with that is, right, it's a thing that doesn't exist yet but will exist by the power of itself, if you know what I mean. That's what basically that experiment is about. It's getting inside people's heads to create it in a kind of a weird supernatural type of godlike fashion. And that's where AIs are going, because like what I touched on earlier, the AIs that have been taught to react to pain, right? That's interesting, but anything can be programmed. If you know how to code, you can make a game where your character is scared of the colour green. When you bring out the colour green, your character runs for the hills. Anything can be coded into reacting to pain, but some AIs, it goes a bit over the top with. Like, for example, there was 2 AIs. I'm not sure the company. I'll find the headline for when I put this up, and then I'll be able to put it in the comments or put it in the description. There was a company who created 2 AI robots, and they started communicating with each other, like, in their own language. And some of the best decoders in the company couldn't figure out how they taught up to this language or what any of it meant. And they were communicating with each other, and they had to shut them down. which is fucking mad when you think about it. The fact that, like, because AI, right, artificial intelligence, for anyone who doesn't know, is an artificially created brain, in a sense. Siri is an AI, for example, a very simplified AI, you know, because it has to it learns your contacts, it learns the ins and outs of your phone if you ask it to. And as well, I know it does anyway. It's a split. Well, no, Siri, yeah, well, you could say Siri's an AI. That would be kind of a simplistic example of it. But like, the interesting thing and the scary thing about AIs is it's a brain that keeps on learning, like a machine, like a car getting faster, and accumulates knowledge. And like, I'm not going to say that AIs are going to take over the world, but because they're not. But that experiment, which I'll leave the full article down below so people can read it who want to read it, is interesting in the sense that something that is, it's only real in the imaginative type of respect. It's not real yet, but it already is real in the sense of it's real because it's been thought up, sort of, and it needs to be made, or else I don't know. I can't even put it into my own words. It's that fucking complicated and strange. And it's like, it sort of all ties into different things with AI. Like, I mean, look at Grand Theft Auto 5, look at Red Dead Redemption 2. How fucking detailed all them games are. And like, there's no one can really say that we're not in a simulation, in a sense, which is interesting to think of. I personally don't think we are in a simulation, but it depends what you class as a simulation. I don't think there's a fat fella with Mountain Dew and piss stains on his jocks playing as me in a game on his computer. I don't think that. But if you have an unlimited amount of alternate universes that can't really communicate with each other, like they could in ways that maybe people don't know about, like DMT, for example. But if you have an unlimited amount of alternate universes, I mean, who's to say that doesn't classify as a simulation? Each one of them is a simulation, in a sense. But yeah, it's all a bit nuts, really. But what are we coming up to? We're coming up to 33 now, mate. Now at the moment, but I'm gonna leave the music out of this week's one, I think, because yeah, I'm just going to try to get rid of... There was a hum in the background, as I said. You're probably all going to be looking for the fucking thing now after saying it. So hopefully I'll be able to get rid of it. But if I can't, then oh my god, I might have to do the thing I done a few weeks ago. Yeah, right, I didn't. I thought I was fucking GXT. Yeah, thank fucking god. I thought I was recording off my fucking laptop or computer fucking microphone again instead of the microphone I have plugged in. But yeah, more of a blabber on conspiracy weird type of podcast this week. But yeah, let me know what you thought. Let me know if you have anything you'd like on this. I think I'll make a kind of every fourth podcast will be touching on the freaky side of shit, and I'll be more prepared for the next time. So what date is it now today? Today is the 18th of April, Saturday the 18th of April. So this Saturday, 4 weeks, I'll have another... I'll tell you what, I'll do a Freaky Friday, I'll call it, because marketing and all that. So I'll every fourth Friday, I'll put out a weird, freaky urban legend as well. I'll include some of that weird shit in there for all you mad what the fuck is going on heads. And you can have a listen and you can see what you think. But yeah, I'm just shy talking now. But there's another pun. How's your man's dad working? But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Stay safe. I mean, it's easy to stay safe through all this. All you have to do is not go fucking outside. It's not that hard. And yeah, that's it. That's fucking it. Let me know what you thought of this week's one. I'll be back next week with a bang. And yeah, go on. Keep it real. I love yous. Keep smiling, keep shy talking, all the rest of it. Good luck.